Tonight, a solar eclipse sends parts of Canada into darkness. We'll show you what it looked like around here. Also, parents weigh in on the latest round of job action. Plus, firefighters are already prepping for what could be a very dry and very active wildfire season.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, April 8th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. For a few minutes, millions of people looked way up. A grand celestial event, a total solar eclipse, graced skies across North America this afternoon, from Mexico through parts of the U.S. and Canada. Anand Ram takes us through the highlights.
This breathtaking dying of the light captivated people across the entire continent. Early birds crawling in traffic just to get a good spot.
I'm trying to have a celestial experience, you know? I'm trying to something to touch my soul.
We have some badminton sets in the back, some, what do we buy?
Pickleball.
Pickleball.
Crowds gathered across the eclipse's path from Mexico to the Motor Speedway in Indianapolis to the mists of Niagara Falls, all for a few minutes of darkness in daytime.
It's one of the great natural wonders of the world, one of the great celestial events of the universe. Same place, same time, once in a lifetime.
And though the clouds over the falls dampened the look of totality, the sound, a crowd still awestruck.
It was really cool because you knew it was just the mid-afternoon, but then it felt like it was 8 o'clock at night because it was so dark and it was colder.
In Montmorency, Quebec, as darkness descended, spirits lifted.
I feel special because we've been driving for 6 hours to get here.
And in New Brunswick, 1,000 years since the last one, a crowd left speechless.
What does it look like?
Look like it's an eclipse.
Looks like the third rock on the moon.
Yeah.
The full effect was brief across the continent, just a few minutes, but a rare chance because even though the whole thing is about the sun being blocked, it's also one of the best chances to study it.
There are so many people that are engaging with this eclipse, doing professional science, why the sun's corona, the outermost atmosphere, is hotter than the surface, how the solar wind, how that is born, and even how animals behave in response to the eclipse.
But above all, for scientists and citizens alike, it was a moment to savor the moment.
This really, I hope, gives us all pause as we ponder what I like to call our place in space, our relationship to the cosmos.
A chance in darkness to see the world in a new light. Anand Ram, CBC News, Toronto.
And here in Saskatchewan, people of all ages also had their eyes to the sky. Organizations across the province hosted safe viewing parties to watch the solar event. The Saskatchewan Science Centre in Regina hosted a watch party, even handing out special glasses to safely view the eclipse. People also brought telescopes and even pasta strainers to see the sun. Creative solutions for protecting their eyes while witnessing history.
Just pretend the Earth is the sun for a second, and the moon is basically like that Earth. So it's going around, and when it lines up perfectly at the sun, it basically just covers it up.
The sun is there, but then this dark shadow is here, and then the more bigger the dark shadow is, the more dark it'll get.
Yeah, until it's completely dark.
I mean, it doesn't happen very often, and it's interesting to see the sun, that's something that we take for granted every day, suddenly looks different on a special day like today, and I think that's super interesting.
People in Saskatchewan were able to get a pretty good look at the eclipse, but as we mentioned before, those in Ontario and East were able to see a fuller version of the event. We'll have to wait another 20 years for another total eclipse. The next one won't happen until 2044. Starting today, teachers across Saskatchewan are working to rule. That means no volunteer time, from lunch hour supervision to extracurricular activities indefinitely. Laura Sharpaletti has that story.
Teachers across Saskatchewan are ramping up job action. It's the latest development in a months-long contract dispute between the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation and the provincial government. Both sides are at odds over whether to include class size and complexity in their new contract.
Whatever is agreed upon within the collective bargaining process needs to be a solution that doesn't just work for teachers, it needs to work for government, and it needs to work for school boards. It needs to work for the taxpayers of Saskatchewan, but most importantly, it needs to work for our students.
The STF asked for one line in the collective agreement to ensure a multi-year funding agreement with the Saskatchewan School Boards Association. That line would ensure that funding couldn't be revoked or walked back. But the province declined and job action escalated. The education minister says the STF is not a signatory in that agreement.
My concern is really having the multi-year funding agreement signed in the provincially collective bargain agreement. That's a problem for government.
Through this, parents have been mostly supportive of teachers, but some tell us going without noon hour supervision is difficult to manage. This is the case for one Regina parent whose daughter is autistic.
I'm trying to figure out what I can do to get her the care that she needs at lunchtime. And beyond that, it's really difficult for her because of the disruption in routine. So I talk to her and I explain what's happening, but she also, she has an expectation of what her day is going to look like.
Chocha is also finishing up an education degree at the University of Regina. They say they've seen firsthand the need for classroom complexity support.
I spent more time than anyone should have to sitting on Google Translate with students who do not speak English, just trying to help them know what's going on. I'm having to learn as a professional, how I can essentially work in an impossible situation.
Meanwhile, a Saskatoon mom is leading a call-in campaign in support of teachers. She's encouraging people to sign up for 15-minute time slots until April 12th to call into the offices of the Premier and Education Minister.
We're definitely trying to use our voice and hopefully get them to, just engage a conversation and see things a little bit differently.
Under Work to Rule, teachers begin their shift 15 minutes before the bell rings. Their day ends 15 minutes after. There is no word on if the bargaining teams will be meeting again anytime soon. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
Canada's National Dental Care Plan is set to start next month. It's supposed to cover low and middle income seniors who don't have private insurance. But some dentists have decided not to sign on to the program. Marina von Stackelberg explains why.
No pain on any of the implants at all?
Coverage under the Canadian Dental Care Plan starts next month. This denturist says it will really help his senior patients.
It's something that most of our clients are going to be affected by. We're happy to be part of it, especially if it works the way it's supposed to.
So far, 1.6 million seniors have enrolled. Ottawa will only say thousands of oral health care providers have registered to treat them. Dental associations warn participation is low. Case in point, their presidents, working dentists themselves, tell CBC News they won't run the program in their own practices.
My staff have told me, in no uncertain terms, they don't want to do the program because they just cannot handle the extra burden that comes with it.
They say dental offices are thinly staffed and can't handle the paperwork Ottawa requires to process claims. Plus, they don't know what they're signing up for.
Unlike other dental plans, this federal program is asking the dentist to sign a contract that's 7 pages long with a lot of unknown factors and unnecessary terms and conditions.
Some seniors are shocked to find out their dentist won't take part.
What does it mean for me? I've just got to continue paying and just have the minimal amount of things done.
It really irks me that the federal government came out and announced a dental plan, but they didn't do their homework to get the thing in place so that my dentist could be part of it.
But Ottawa may be looking to sweeten the deal.
We're working actively on creating an alternative portal that will allow dentists to participate just directly when a patient comes in front of them, to just put in the information and be able to put that claim.
Another sore spot for dentists and patients, the federal government initially pitched this as free dental care. But only some procedures are covered and at a lower rate than many clinics charge. So you should still expect to see a bill when you leave the dentist chair. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
A deportation hearing for the truck driver who caused the deadly Humboldt Broncos bus crash 6 years ago has been scheduled for next month. Lawyer Michael Green says the hearing for his client Jaskirat Singh Sidhu is to be held May 24th. Sidhu was sentenced to 8 years in prison for causing the 2018 crash. that killed 16 people and injured 13 others. He pleaded guilty to dangerous driving charges. The rookie Calgary truck driver was a newly married permanent resident from India at the time of the crash. Sadhu was granted full parole last year. Green says deportation hearings usually only take a few minutes. He says once a person is ordered deported, there is then a pre-removal risk assessment conducted, and that usually takes a few months. Sadhu can also ask for a deferral while his request for permanent resident status is considered. If you've spent any time outdoors recently, you know soil conditions are already really dry in Saskatchewan. We really didn't get what we needed in terms of moisture this winter, and that's why firefighters in our province are already prepping for what could be a more active wildfire season. Sam Sampson has more.
Firefighting crews are preparing 2 weeks earlier than last year for what Saskatchewan officials believe could be an above-average wildfire season. The warm and dry winter in Saskatchewan, much like the rest of the prairies, has left the province in for a drought season if nothing else changes. Provincial public safety officials say it's no surprise then that we're expecting an earlier than usual wildfire season. They will have ground firefighters ready as early as next week. The worst fire seasons in recent history in Saskatchewan come down to 2 years. 2015, when 13,000 residents in northern Saskatchewan were forced from their homes, and last year, when the most land burned in one wildfire season on record. But the teams putting together responses were apprehensive to definitively say how bad they expect this year to be.
It is drier than we have seen in a number of years, not the driest. Based on that, we currently cannot predict the number of fires or the size of those fires. It will be 100% a combination of factors, including weather.
Saskatchewan also has local volunteer firefighters who've been getting ready for weeks, especially in more northern remote First Nations that are prone to wildfires and evacuations as such. But they say it's tough when trainers can't get out to more remote communities.
It'd be nice to have more trainers, so that way we can train community members now. And then the more people that we have trained, and then also having the proper equipment is another thing. So you can't respond to a fire if you don't have the proper equipment.
Chief Cook Searson says her communities need stronger pumps, hoses, boots, PPE, all to prepare for the wildfire season. And while they are getting ready as much as they can, she says they're also hoping, with everything they have, for a very wet spring to avoid what she worries could be a drastic fire season. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
A little cloudy weather didn't stop people from getting outside over the lunch hour to take in the partial eclipse in Saskatoon. Looks like those clouds could come with a slight chance of showers tonight too, but the sunny days will return. Ethan will tell you about that after the break in his forecast. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. You know, I didn't get caught up in the eclipse hype until I put the glasses on.
Yeah.
And it was so neat.
And it was very cool. Yeah, even just the little partial eclipse that we got here in Saskatchewan, very neat to see today, no matter how you viewed that. You were able to view it in Regina and eastern sections of the province thanks to clearing skies today. If you were up around Saskatoon, you saw earlier a little bit cloudier, and through much of the north we had that band of cloud cover moving through as well. All associated with a trough of low pressure, which also brought through some showers, which just dissipated right in time to get to the Saskatoon area. So you really didn't see any rain there in Saskatoon today, and we're pretty much rain-free at the moment through the rest of the province right now. Temperatures, though, especially in the sunshine, getting quite warm today. Middle teens through the north where that cloud cover was hanging back into the single digits there. You can kind of see that line where that cloud cover and those showers moving through, though. We're closer to around 10 degrees in that part of the province, but still at this hour in around 13 in places like Regina, Weyburn, and into the Maple Creek area. You heard a little bit earlier about how these warm temperatures and not a lot of rain causing issues with potentially forest fires as we get into this early spring here. This is a look at the fire danger rating for tomorrow from the federal government. And you can see pockets of Saskatchewan and around Leader and Outlook down toward Assiniboia, Gravelbourg, we're already at that high rating in terms of fire danger. And there's actually a little pocket of extreme danger in a portion of northern Alberta. So as that snowpack melts and we're not seeing very much rainfall, unfortunately, we're already seeing that risk start to pick up. And there will not be a whole lot of rain in our forecast, unfortunately. That area of low pressure begins to move out, leading to clearing skies tonight in south and central. A little bit of rain and maybe even some pockets of non-severe thunderstorms in the Churchill region tomorrow and through parts of the far north. South and central, our next best chance for any moisture will come early on Wednesday morning. This next low pressure system bringing through a bit of rain and maybe some mixed precipitation and some snow in there through the southwest. Through the day, that shifts eastward into southeastern Saskatchewan. Regina, we might catch that, but things clearing out again as we head into Thursday. Tomorrow's rainfall event, we're not really talking anything huge, especially for the north, maybe a millimeter or two here and there. A little more substantial as we head into Wednesday morning in the southwest corner, a part of the province that really needs that rain, but at most probably around 5 millimeters or so. And keep in mind maybe a little bit of snow mixed in there as well. As those systems move through, winds start to pick up a little bit in southwestern and west central sections tomorrow. They really get going as we head into Wednesday. Gusts 50 to 60 primarily in the southern half of the province, those gusts coming from the northwest. Outside of that, though, another pretty nice day in Regina tomorrow, talking mid-teens with a mix of sun and cloud. Rain showers likely for Wednesday as the cloud moves in and a little bit cooler, but that does not last long. Temperatures getting into the 20s possibly for the weekend. That'll be beautiful, albeit windy here and there over these next few days. And similar for Saskatoon, not quite getting to 20 degrees, but still some nice temperatures. You're kind of avoiding that system that's moving through the southern part of the province. You can tell it's April, Sam, not just because of the, well, we don't have any April showers, but because of the wind as well. I have strong words for the wind. Last week was uncomfortable. Yeah, it got very strong. Well, as long as it stays moderate, I can. That's right, yes. Because it's all about me. Of course. Why not? Thanks, Ethan. You bet. Mount Etna blew circles of gas into the sky over Sicily over the weekend. These so-called smoke rings filled the sky when a crater opened on the summit of the active volcano. Events like this are rare, but Mount Etna emits more volcanic vortex rings than any other volcano on Earth. It's the highest peak in Italy south of the Alps, and it's the largest of the 3 active volcanoes in the country. We'll be back after the break. High-level bureaucrats have been testifying at the public inquiry into foreign interference in Canada's elections. The so-called panel of 5 was tasked with watching for meddling, analyzing how serious it was, and deciding whether to issue public warnings. Rafi Boudjikanian has the latest.
This is the last line of bureaucrats monitoring foreign interference into Canadian elections, and for both of the previous 2 votes, they decided not to sound a public alarm.
This threshold was very high, and there are important reasons for that. First of all, because there was some risk that any intervention by the panel can create more harms than good. It had the potential to create confusion and also to be seen as interfering in a democratic exercise. And we want also to make sure that we were not being seen as taking a position, a partisan position.
A rebuke to testimony last week by former Conservative leader Erin O'Toole. He maintains his party may have lost 5 to 9 ridings to misinformation orchestrated by the Chinese government unhappy with its strong stance on Beijing's human rights record.
Do you agree that every voter's vote in Canada in a federal election matters?
Absolutely.
And do you also agree that it also matters if even one vote is jeopardized, suppressed, or threatened because of evidence of foreign interference that you may have before you?
I agree with that.
Today, the Conservatives' lawyer tried to make the panel confess the partial intel they had received about 2019 should have met that threshold. Intel like how there may have been a transfer of at least $250,000 from unknown People's Republic of China officials to some election candidates. The panel maintaining that would have been for the Commissioner of Canada Elections to act on.
So in your view, if the evidence was concrete, they should have done something about it?
Yes, I believe that the due course of action would have happened.
The panel did say it recommended the Liberal Party be briefed privately about intelligence it received in connection with then Liberal MP Han Dong's nomination race in the Toronto riding of Don Valley North, something it considered to be one proper means of mitigation. It also asked for CSIS to continue to monitor and feed it information. Some members of the Prime Minister's inner circle are up next at the inquiry. Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Global Atomic Energy Watchdog is warning about the risk of a major nuclear disaster in Ukraine. Russia says there was a drone strike on the power plant in Zaporizhia on Sunday. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirms one of the reactors was hit. There was no breach, but 3 people were hurt. Ukraine and Russia are blaming each other for the attack. Independent verification is difficult because heavy fighting has put the region off limits for journalists. The facility is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, and it's been under Russian control since the early days of the war. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
And we are looking for partly cloudy skies in Regina and the south at midnight. Winds picking up a little bit here out of the west, up to 30 kilometers an hour. By tomorrow morning, though, starting to come down a little bit. Temperature not budging all that much, but we're under mostly sunny skies. And then heading into the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud for us here in town. I think we'll see those winds pick up a little bit heading in to the afternoon hours tomorrow. For Saskatoon, we're looking at mostly clear skies tonight, with a low of around 2 degrees or 1 degree as we get a little bit later into the evening. And heading into tomorrow, sun and cloud, 3 at 8 a.m. and into the afternoon, getting into those double digits again. A little bit cloudy here and there, but then we'll see the clouds clear, Sam, into the afternoon. So it won't be the moon blocking out the sun this time.
All right, looking forward to another nice day.
Yes, you bet.
All right. And before we leave you, you may not know this, but when you get married, your marriage certificate marks the place you got married. So no surprise, the Village of Love gets a lot of requests to host weddings. And now they have the perfect spot thanks to some hard work repurposing an old bunkhouse.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shelley Villier, and I am the mayor from the Village of Love. We're here today at our brand new wedding chapel that used to be the old bunkhouse in Choiceland. So come on, let's go take a look. The bunkhouse was donated from a gentleman named Jim Blair. And we took that building and in 2 years, totally gutted it inside and out. And this is what we have. The reason we decided to build the wedding chapel was because our name alone attracted numerous requests for marriage ceremonies. With our existing community hall and park campground, the addition of a wedding chapel completes our offerings for couples to have their dream weddings here. Eventually, we do hope to have a honeymoon cabin for our bride and groom and to put an addition on the chapel for a changing room, washroom for the bride and her attendants.
It's just been real nice for us to be part of it, you know, to build a piece of lasting history that'll be there for many, many years to come when we're gone, and somebody else hopefully to carry it on, kind of how love has always been built. Well, chapel's just a really good addition to represent our village.
The chapel has already seen one wedding in August, and we hope to see many more.
And I imagine they will. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, head to cbc.ca/Sask. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.